Some people paint to put it in a gallery. This guy painted to put it on the racetrack. Today with the Triple Clowns, we're going to be talking about possibly the biggest cheat in horse racing history. And that would be Peter Christian Barrie. Born in Edinburgh, Scotland in 1888, Peter was drawn at a young age into horse racing where he became a stable boy in England. And it did not take him long to find his cheating ways. It's reported that at this time, Peter conned Lady Mary Cameron into selling him her gray mare for 20 pounds. He then went and dyed it brown, sold it back to Lady Mary Cameron for 350 pounds. And this, ladies and gentlemen, started a trend.
Wait, so he was able to dye a horse and sell it back to the same person for quite the profit.
Yeah, at a young age, here's this guy, and obviously we'll get more into it, but I guess you find your calling at a young age. So he took, I don't know how that went. But I'm going to be honest, I feel like weirdly, like not that bad for Lady Mary Cameron. And I don't feel bad. You know why? And this is a terrible thing of me, because the lady thing. I feel like the sir and the lady thing, I feel like this is a scene that happened. This is what I think it was. Well, hello, little boy that works in my stable. I have this gray mare that I don't like very much. It's gray. It looks ugly. I would love a brown mare. And he was like, cool, I'll get you one, because he didn't have an Irish accent at all. And that's how he talked. And she was like, fantastic. I have high tea coming up pretty soon. So here's 20. Thank you for the 20 pounds for my gray man. You go find me another one. And he was like, okay. Lady Mary Catherine, bip, bip, boop, boop. And she walked away. And I don't know why. Maybe it's this poor kid in me that doesn't like the lady and the sir thing, because I think it's just whatever. So I don't feel that bad for her. But
so he's like,
obviously
he takes the horse back in the barn. He's like, I'll show you. In
lady. My mind, at this point, he is, but it comes to find out he's just a cheat. But yeah, and she might have been the nicest woman in the world. I don't know. She obviously wasn't very bright. So he legitimately took a horse, dyed it a different color, and sold it back to her. It didn't say the timeline, and maybe she was really old. I don't know. It's kind of messed up though, but it's kind of funny. It's kind of like something you go back and be like, "Hey, guess what I just did, guys?" Yeah, total con at a young age. So
I think this is kind of what like sparks. I mean, we're not that age. You go to be a stable boy. Where is he learning about dye jobs?
Well, his calling is obviously what it is at this point. You know, it's weird. But,
good for him.
Well, we'll see. All right, let's move on. Now, Barrie bounced around after this from track to track in England, honing his skills on what would later be called ringing. And that's when you run a horse under a different name. More about that later on. So I'm guessing the heat got on a little bit in England, and in 1914, Peter Barrie decided to move to Australia. And why wouldn't he join the 6th Light Horse Regiment C's squadron at this point during a world war? Why not? I guess. That's a weird move, I think, by him. But anyway, he did that. Good for you. Want to fight for your country. Awesome. So in Australia, he joins the Regiment C squadron. He actually got in there stating that he was a veterinarian dentist. Not surprising that Peter would make this up, and I'm sure he probably played with some horses' teeth before. So to him, he was a dentist. And also told people that he was treating the British Army horses for 3 years before. These are all lies, but this is Peter Barrie. I go on. So in May of 1915, he arrived at Gallipoli, where the Allied forces were suffering terribly, not going well. And here comes Peter Barrie. But the thing about Peter Barrie is he had to get evacuated to the hospital right away because he had a infected foot. Okay, that can happen, especially back then, bad boots and the weather and everything like that. All right, fine. When he came back, he returned to duty, and he was at the battlefield. in a battlefield in August, and Barrie, being the stand-up man he was there, and he was fighting for his country for one whole day. And this time he was evacuated for violent diarrhea. Yes, I said it. Peter Barrie was evacuated because he had the shits. Can't make this up.
So he was like you in war, I think. He just has the shits.
Well, maybe when they said he returned to duty, they meant duty.
Good one.
That was good, right? Return to duty. You get it?
Yeah,
it was
I got
duty.
it. Yeah.
Okay, never mind.
Good one.
I'd like to find out why his motivation was he wanted to fight for his country. I mean, it must have been some benefit, because this guy's only done things for his personal benefit all the time.
Obviously.
I don't feel like he's a very, well, later on you'll find out even more. He's not a very noble human being, it doesn't seem like, but
was he like...
should have been a spy.
He should have been a spy. Because like he goes to Australia, he's the vet for the horses. And now he's in the army. This is a cover-up. What is he doing? What is he really doing?
I wonder. Maybe he was like finding horses that were in war that could actually run like the 6 furlong sprint.
Yeah.
Yeah. Probably not. But that'd be a weird thing.
It's not a bad idea. He's trying to get some horses, more horses that he can then paint and run them in Australia and make a ton of money off scamming people.
Yeah, you think like the first time, like the only reason I don't believe the infected foot, I guess if your foot's infected, they can kind of tell.
Well, that was kind of common back in the time.
After it's common probably to get the shits while you're in the front line of battle, probably.
Maybe that was God's way of like, damn you, Peter. Damn you.
Yeah, I don't know. But
I'm going to curse you with the shits.
I feel like, probably happened a lot. It's a scary thing.
Kind of, yeah. I mean, you could have some kind of bacteria infection then.
I'm not talking about bacteria. I'm talking about you're scared and you shit your pants. I mean.
That's just you.
No, I don't get scared and shit my pants. I do it on long car rides. It's different. Anyway, let's go on. It's taking a really bad turn. So after Barrie's heroic time shitting or whatever, fighting for his country, whatever it was, he ended up doing a little more time for stealing a wallet. And what do you do after that? What do you do if you're Peter Barrie? You go back into horse racing, and something he's actually good at, and that is cheating in horse racing. So in 1919 and 1920, he had rampaged across England's racetracks, ringing one horse after another before the law did catch up with him. And what happened was he had entered a horse named Coat of Mail in a race at Stockton. Coat of Mail, quote unquote, a pathetic-looking animal, according to the Daily Telegraph, won the race without leaving the barn. It never had run before, it had never run since, and it did not run on that day, a lawyer joked. The winning horse that was in the program as Coat of Mail was actually a strapping 3-year-old named Jazz, which one of Barrie's cronies bought for 800 pounds. So I guess Coat of Mail won the race. Actually, Jazz won the race, but Coat of Mail got the check for winning the race. Well, Barrie got the check of 167 pounds, 19 shilling purse, where what else do you do when you get that kind of money? And he went out and bought a fur coat from a tailor on Regent Street in London. Who can blame him? Barrie had taste.
Yeah, he was high class. I like that. I'm going to take my money and go to Regent Street as well.
Yeah, was Regent Street that place where you watched that? What was it called?
Mr. Selfridge.
Suffrages.
Mr. Selfridge.
So it's Suffrages.
Suffrages is still open, actually, by the way.
So that's probably right around the same place.
Yeah, that area is very nice. That's where I'm going. I'll see you later.
So anyway, but back to what he did. This seems like easy money if you know.
Yeah, he's making it seem really
easy. And it can't be just, which most of this report is, and I thought about this when I researched that. He's got to be making a ton of money on betting.
Oh, yeah.
And they never bring that up. It's not about, the purse, sure, it's a no-brainer.
He's making side money on the bet. He's running bets.
He's got to be running bets.
Yeah, why? I feel like you'd be silly not to, because It's an added
So I don't think when they
benefit.
say like he bought the fur coats with the purse,
No.
that purse is probably nothing compared to what he won at the window.
Yeah.
But he can't kill the window because he won't get a lot of odds. Or maybe he's scared. Maybe it was just the purse. I don't know. I never, we'll get into it where besides the other
Whatever
people,
he's doing it right.
well, he's not doing
Gonna
it
fire.
right because it's
Right now he's doing it right. He
not
has
very-
a nice fur coat.
he has no moral compass because he has a fur coat. He's doing it right.
Of course, he doesn't have a
What's
moral
wrong with
compass. He's just making some money to get some nice stuff. I'm gonna go shopping there too. Come on, Peter, let's go.
He's a cheat. Stop it. Let's go on.
Please do.
Now, around the same time in 1919, and this was recounted by turf writer David Ashworth's 2003 book, Ringers and Rascals. They talk about a story where Barrie dyed a 3-year-old named Mexican Belle to look like a particular 2-year-old filly. That's what he did. Then he went and doped her with opium. That's right, opium, to slow her down for that race in South Yorkshire. 2 days later, he entered the same horse, well, the same horse's name, the 2-year-old, apparently. Again, thinking that her previous 2 days before that performance would guarantee her having longer odds. Now, what is he going to do? He's going to goose her speed up. So he gave her twice the dosage of cocaine, in which he usually administered to his starters. Okay, so that means he gave her double the amount. That's not right. That's not right. I mean, why would you give her double the amount? I mean, the cocaine you give to the normal starters. I mean, okay, that's not right either. All right, just saying, crazy. Anyway, so he gives double the amount to Mexican Belle. Now, Mexican Belle, all geeked up, actually chewed through her reins. It's kind of funny. Then ran free and finished dead last. So, I mean, obviously everything caught up to Barrie. And he pled guilty to the Code of Mail scam and all the other ones, Mexican Belle and everything like that, threw himself at the mercy of the court and had to do 3 years hard labor.
Wow. I think he kind of challenged Jason Service there. It's like, watch me.
Challenged?
He
was
like
giving cocaine and opium.
Yeah.
Like he was like I don't even know, like the Pablo Escobar of horse racing.
Yeah.
Like he's just gone beyond. And the thing that was
probably
the craziest thing about it is I gave, and this is all admittedly, this is what he's told people. I gave him double the dose I usually give my starters. I mean,
because everyone usually gives their starters cocaine. Obviously.
Well, he obviously did. I mean, this is terrible. I don't think this happens anymore. I'm going to go with it doesn't.
Sure as heck hope not.
I mean, what was going on back then?
Well, back then, cocaine was in everything.
The horse,
like cough syrup.
Yeah, but the horse chewed through its reins.
Well, of course this horse would. I'm surprised this horse is not still running.
He ran last. Yeah,
yeah. Well, probably because he's so like distraught. Like, ooh, something shiny. Ooh, over at carving station. Ooh, here. Not realize I don't think the cocaine's gonna help the horse focus. It'll give it speed, but it'll be like all over the dang track here.
Probably. I wonder how that I wonder what's like going through his head there, where it's like, I coke them up, so they get there. I'm gonna double coke this one up, especially since it's coming off an opium downer. So I mean, you gotta level it out, I guess.
Downers can be quite tough, I guess.
Yeah.
Gotta give him a little bit of an extra.
I think you're oddly voting for this man at this point. This is kind of weird because I think he's like really a bad person.
Well, yeah.
I mean,
really a bad. He's giving
at this point it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Like he's the original, like straight up, like big time looking drug dealer. He's like, what's up? He's that guy.
He's like a mob guy. I got the fur coat. I got a little cocaine inside the pocket. That's one's for me. This side's for my horses.
He's got everything going on a little bit.
I don't.
It's just weird.
Poor horses.
Weird. All right, let's go on. What does Peter Barrie do after serving hard time, doing some hard labor, and you're basically run out of English horse racing? head to North America. Why wouldn't you? I mean, why not? You're going to go to North America. They're going to let you in. You can continue your life of crime. So he jumps the ship to North America. Now, being a felon or having his record of what he did, you can't just jump on a ship and go to North America. They're not going to let you in. So he decides he's going to do what anybody would do. I mean, who wouldn't disguise yourself as a priest? That's right. He disguises himself as a priest and goes on the ship to North America. Funny story about that. He apparently was invited to the head table by the captain and had to give a prayer before dinner. And eventually did a sermon on the ship, which of course Peter pulled off.
Of course he did. Of course he pulled off this sermon. He's trained at this point. He's had 2 countries of experience under his belt.
He got war experience.
Oh, yeah.
Con experience. Conning himself out of war experience.
But you obviously have no soul if you're personating a priest and have the confidence to give this like sermon over dinner. Like, God bless this meal and my stash of cocaine that's in this ship.
Do you think he was wearing the fur coat as the priest?
Yeah, I feel like he has to be.
It was with him.
Yeah. He brought that on the ship. This man does not
I think
leave
he
without
pawned that or gave it to somebody to get on the ship. That's my story.
He pawned it for a priest uniform.
I don't think it's called a priest uniform.
Well, that's as far as I go there.
Yeah, I don't think it's called that. But this guy is no joke.
No.
You got to give him for perseverance. Shifted time. And I guess we're going to go through the rehabilitation process. Maybe it doesn't work. And we'll find out a little bit more about that. Because this guy did not learn his lesson.
No. So so he's on his way to the United States. You think he's going to try something new here? He's going to continue the same path?
Yes, because I already know the end of the story. But yeah, I mean, because that's what criminals...
That's what he knows.
A lot of criminals do. Yeah, it's just what he's good at and what he's... just what he knows. I mean, it's almost like you can't tell a mechanic you're going to move, but you can't be a mechanic anymore. Even though being a mechanic's not quite as immoral and illegal. But
yeah, a mechanic that cuts people's brakes.
If that's what you know, it's what you know. You know? I mean, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
I want to know what happens here in the United States.
So here he comes. He's going to be in North America.
Boy.
Because they think he landed in Canada.
Okay. Let's take over the whole continent.
So now Peter Barrie gets into the U.S. And what does he do? Goes right into horse racing, and he becomes the master at ringing. This is a man who could take and bend the odds at any track he was at. He knew, for example, just how much heroin to shoot into a horse's neck to make him, quote and unquote, think he was Pegasus. As the Daily News put it in 1932, and in case anybody out there wants to know, that is about 30 milligrams by hypodermic needle and 160 milligrams down the throat. Now, I don't promote heroin use at all, and I know nothing about this. I definitely don't promote it in people or horses or anything like this. It's not a good thing. I don't know how many milligrams that is, like what that would do to a person, but I guess it's pretty bad. But this guy apparently had it down, and he's a scumbag. So, yeah, crazy. But they say it was Barrie's fingernails that told the story of his particular, let's say, genius. They were almost gone. Eaten away by bleach and ammonia, he rubbed into the hides of every thoroughbred horse so that racetrack stewards, detectives, jockeys, or even sometimes the horse's own trainers mistook these horses for entirely different horses.
I mean, he was quite dedicated. He's like part hairdresser, part chemist here with the drugs and the dyes and switching it from cocaine to heroin.
Hairdressers or chemists are into drugs. I don't understand.
No, I'm saying because he's dyeing the horses. So there's the hairdresser, and he's also doping them up with a bunch of heroin.
So it's a chemist?
Well, because he knows the exact amounts that he's like, I just picture him in a lab. And he's beakers.
Pharmacist, I guess.
No, he's a chemist in my head.
Okay.
Let that be.
Well, I mean, it makes sense. It's a chemical thing. But And it's funny because, I mean, don't you think like that would bring maybe attention to him? But like his fingernails are gone. He's winning these races.
Kind of. You would think
You feel
so.
like you might look at him like he couldn't have been like that. Hi, how you doing? I'm Peter Barrie. How are you today? Because once again, he doesn't have an Irish accent at all.
He's Scottish.
But, oh yeah, he's Scottish. Yeah, he's Scottish. He was born in Scotland. They said he was an Irishman born in Scotland, actually.
Yeah, well.
I did read this thing. They said he
things
was
are
like
a bit confusing.
I think that was the Scottish people not wanting to claim him.
Yeah, that's true. They're like, no, you take him, Ireland.
Yeah.
You take him.
He's like, fuck this guy. He's a fucking asshole. Get him out of here. But no.
Like he has to have some charm because he hasn't lost a race with one of his horses.
Well, we don't know that. I'm sure he did.
Yeah, I mean, he would have to because no way is he going to be completely undefeated.
I feel like Peter Barrie was smart enough to like throw a couple. Well, he did. And they said Mexican Bell, he made lose.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he knew how to work the system to not try to get caught.
Yeah, he's a good system.
Yeah, more on that.
But like, how do you go from cocaine to heroin? I feel like those are two different.
It was an opium before. I mean,
I know. This is
one's
weird.
an opium. Isn't heroin like basically the same thing? It might be. We might be talking about the same thing with the opium. That might be heroin back then. I think I'm not that skilled on that, but I'm pretty sure that might be. But yeah, I mean, he knew it. He had it down to a science. And sad truth, how do you come up with that science? Oh, gave that one too much. He didn't wake up.
Whoopsie.
Yeah, like this was.
I'll reduce the dose here. We'll try it out on this horse. Hopefully this one wakes up.
Yeah.
Well, that one's a little too groggy. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's an unfortunate science, but this guy.
I'm pretty sure a lot of.
Equine.
I'm pretty sure a lot of the horses you and AJ pick are on heroin because they don't.
Really?
Yeah.
We want to go there.
Sure. Let's hear the rest of it. The horse bleaching, it was an elegant scam. I mean, and that's what they called ringing. And let me explain this a little bit more because I keep saying ringing and I don't know if everybody knows what it is. So when you take two horses, one slow, one fast, and the slow one doesn't really need to exist. I mean, it's better if it does because it can show some bad lines and anything like that. But what you do is you enter the fast horse in the slow horse's race under the slow horse's name. Kind of simple, but you got to look like the horse at this time. This is before tattoos on the lips and everything like that, but you got to look like it so you can fool the people if they saw him run before. So it's basically like, for instance, to make it more relative to everybody out there, let's just go with Horse of the Year last year, Authentic. You take him and you put him in a $45,000 allowance race in wherever, it doesn't even matter, $40,000 allowance race, and you put him under the name, who cares, whatever it is, a horse that shows bad lines, Authentic runs. I mean, wouldn't we all want that horse at 30-1? We know Authentic's going to win. It's a mile and a 16th or whatever it is. He's in a $40,000 race. He's a winner. He goes under Randy's Dream and wins for fun. That's what he did. That's what ringing is. I'm just surprised no one else kind of thought of this.
Yeah.
Or did more people think of this? Because I know that in the research I did on it, when the tattooing of the lip came in to distinguish them, they thought it was even easier because they could just change the paperwork.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, with cameras and everything's following these horses, these are times when there's no TV on horses. Like, if you don't look at what it looked like, you didn't know what it looked like. But this must have been more prevalent than I even read about. I don't think he's the only one doing it.
No, I because it is kind of simple what he is doing. He's dying a horse and dropping it in
That's got to be hard to make the horse look like another horse.
Well, yeah, I know, but I'm saying in like his theory is his practice of what he's going about. Like this isn't rocket science. So I
think everybody figured out like, oh, this would be cool if we could do it and get away with it. He just was the one who was like, I'm going to actually do it.
Yeah.
And put the effort in. It's like one of those things where you're like, oh, this would work, but boy, that's a lot of hard work to get it there. And plus it's illegal. And then you're like, oh, and I'm just not going to be.
And you got to be kind of dedicated. Because once that horse wins, they're going to run him other tracks and other tracks. So you're going to make sure has to make sure his die He always looks 100% every time he's at the track. Because I just feel like, what
But
happened?
getting away with it that long, even though he was whatever, he must have been like very thorough in his preparation and his plan.
Yeah.
He must have had an exit strategy, which we'll kind of get into, but yeah, he must have had an out all the time.
Yeah. I mean, you would hope he's always thinking a few steps ahead of the game.
Yeah, possibly. All right, let's get back to our friend. Your friend.
My friend Peter.
Peter Barrie. Middle name Christian. It's weird. Maybe that's why he is a priest.
Priest. Mm-hmm.
Makes sense. Now, Peter Barrie, as a horse painter, we'll call him, was probably the best in the world. And his tools were simple. Bleach, ammonia, bandages, silver nitrate, and henna in shades from blood to chocolate. He could turn a bay with a white star on its face into a dappled gray. And he could do it so well that gray's last trainer would swear it was his own horse. This guy was no joke. But around 1926, at a muddy track in Lincoln Fields, our friend Peter Barrie, I don't really want to say my friend, Peter Barrie, realized he had a problem. He had $2,500 fronted by two gamblers who came from Minneapolis. So Barrie had a horse that he bought before named Kalakua, and another horse that wasn't very good, a $100 horse, by the name of Bobby Dean, that he shipped to Washington Park Racetrack just outside of Chicago. Kalakua was a light bay. Bobby Dean was a dark brown with a white star on his forehead. The alchemic process which Barrie transformed Kalakua into Bobby Dean with thorough shampooing and him boiling pots of exotic dyes imported from everywhere like Germany, and it just stunk everything up. I mean, this is what this guy did. You couldn't even smell the hay. You couldn't smell the manure. You couldn't smell anything. This is what he's doing. He's got his cauldron going, basically, and he's stirring the pot.
How is the smell of this dye not giving everything away here?
I know, that's the
so
weird
strong.
part. That's actually why I mentioned
Like if I'm in a barn and it doesn't smell like horses and hay, and obviously you have the strong smell of the manure, it smells chemicals.
It's just weird that no one, and maybe that's why he kept getting investigated, because why was no one ratting on him? That's surprising.
Yeah.
They were like, you know what? This barn's smelling a little bit off.
Smells like chemicals.
Yeah, and I could just see him like stirring.
And why in the back room are there like
with an evil laugh? Like,
like it's a witch's cauldron.
Yeah, I don't even. Yeah. So yeah, it's interesting that like I mean, and once again, even with the drugs, it's got to be trial and error. Like how many horses did he just fuck him and he ended up white? And he was like, shit.
Whoops.
Yeah.
That horse is now going to be gray.
Yeah, like forever. Yeah, like I don't know.
Well, mind you, dyes back in the day, the dyes he are getting, I'm sure were high-priced dyes. He has to import them. Well, all dyes back then most of them were getting imported. These are high-priced dyes. So I'm guessing, what is his ROI here on running these horses, hopefully winning, and, I got to buy more dye.
When you ring a horse, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, but
90%
still,
of the time you're going to win. And if you get anything like that, it's going to be a lot of money.
Yeah.
All right, let's go on. Years after this whole situation happened, he described this technique, him dying with this cauldron that he's doing in very much detail. Like he wasn't afraid of telling the news about this stuff. He would say after shampooing the horse, he would put tape over its eyes for protection, then bleach its hair white. The strength of the bleach was vital. Too much would make the horse's skin contract and slow it down. Too little would spoil the dye job, which Barrie accomplished with the hot henna applied with his obviously bare hands. I mean, this guy was a maestro at doing this. So back to the Kalakua story. Kalakua ran in the second race on that day's card. Or should I say, Bobby Dean was supposed to run in the second race, but Kalakua actually ran in the second race. I mean, they actually say that the young jockey that rode the fake Bobby Dean as Kalakua didn't even realize it was Kalakua and thought it was Bobby Dean. That's how good he did of a dye job. Now, what happened was Kalakua broke fast. He held on and he was leading around the clubhouse turn. And in deep stretch, Kalakua lost his footing, slipping so horribly in the mud that he nearly lost his rider. The jockey recovered, thank God, to bring the horse to come in third. And it paid $6.20 on a $2 show bet. So this probably won back those gangsters from Minneapolis their money back and probably paid a little bit for their trip and probably saved Peter from probably something bad. So everything was okay there.
Well, you would think, I'm thinking this close call here, maybe going to have him rethink his strategy.
How many close calls has he had?
Well,
like, this is the one?
Maybe he's like...
This is the one.
He's like a cat. He has 9 lives. He's on his
This is
like
the
9.
one.
This could be...
Look,
this
in fact,
could
he
be
went to
one.
prison before, had to go
Wasn't
wherever,
gonna stop
was
him.
in war. And
Wasn't
this
gonna
is
stop
not... No, this is not going to stop him.
Slip on the track could halt his dye job in the future.
I wonder if this is like, you know, when the FBI hires like a computer hacker, would Hollywood hire him to like make people look better or like in like
Makeup
Game
artist?
of Thrones or something?
Yeah, like a special effects artist.
Yeah, like I feel like he'd be like, hey, we could use them for something. I mean, obviously it's not government, but yeah, I feel like they'd be like, he was like before his time when it came to special effects.
Yeah.
And he should have been into that. Like, I got you. Like, listen, I need to make Benjamin Button
Done.
go from 100 to 4.
Gotcha.
And make it look like Brad Pitt, kinda.
Don't worry about it. I got it.
Yeah, he's like, just give me a picture. I'm good.
Yeah. He doesn't even need a picture. He didn't have pictures
Apparently
then.
Yeah, he doesn't need a picture.
Yeah. He's like, I got this. Don't worry
But
about
yeah,
it.
so he goes and you imagine that feeling of being like, you know, the $2,500 bet probably was, you know, seems like nothing in the sense of like, but back then, or they fronted $2,500 and be like, I gave you a winner, and it almost fell. Like, this is the problem with this.
Yeah.
At any time, like this could happen.
When you're still dealing with an animal, anything can happen on the track.
Yeah.
We see that now. Of course, it's happening. But there's a lot more going on then. He's trying to hide the fact that this horse is not this horse. And hide it from everybody, including the jockey.
I think he's more worried about the people probably coming to kill him.
Oh, yeah. He's not worried about
No.
what most people would be worried about. He's worried about getting caught. And the mob coming after him. Yeah.
All right, let's go on from after this whole nonsense.
Yeah.
Wondering what he's going to do. Now, after that, Barrie and Kalakua with these other horses split straight for Havana because he's going to go to Cuba with these horses because he had to get out of there. Maybe he was running from the mob because the horse didn't win. Whatever it was, running from the officials. I mean, at the time, they say the racing officials were onto him. And actually, in one place they made a surprise visit. And he got tipped off by somebody that they were coming. So he just dumped like a bucket of like hot soapy water and just washed the horse. And the officials didn't even know. And he got away with it. So now we go to another Peter Barrie story. Is in 1931 in October. The story has it that Barrie locked himself in the back of a horse trailer, driving from New York to Maryland. On the floor of the trailer, he set up a lantern and a small charcoal stove to prepare his henna and then got to work. Mind you, they're on the road. In the box, the trailer, there were 2 horses. Akhenaton was a high-class horse bred by millionaire heir Marshall Field III, actually the founder of the Chicago Sun. Barrie bought him for $4,500, and he paid for it in all 10s and 20s. And there was another horse in there named Shem. And Shem was just that generic dud, not worth $300 that he actually was bought for him by Barrie. Barrie spent the 10-hour trip disguising Akhenaten as Shem, and obviously Shem as Akhenaten. Akhenaten, I don't know if Akhenaten was mad, because the story has it that Akhenaten, after he was made looking like the lesser of the horse, and Shem actually kicked Barrie square in the stomach and hurt him pretty bad. And, but didn't stop him. So they got to the racetrack in Havre de Grace in Maryland, and Barrie comes out. He's covered in dye. He's got both horses are done. And it's kind of weird. So he went in with two horses and came out with two horses that looked like the ones he went in, but they were actually different. So that's really, really strange. And this is a story that's been talked about in grandstands, press boxes, and this is one of these crazy stories that who knows what really happened. But rumor has it.
I'm still trying to picture here. You're in the back of a horse trailer being towed, and you decide to set up a wood oven, a wood stove, so you can have that burning while you're trying to do all these dyes here and paint two different horses to match each other. Well, not match each other, but paint one to look like the other and the other to look like the other.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's kind of talent in itself.
Well,
you picture this horse trailer's obviously not that big.
Well, you wonder
mansion they're towing here.
When you hear it's a story of like grandstand lore.
Yeah.
You wonder if how do they know it really happened? And when these stories only came out from Peter Barrie, so he's obviously gonna, make it more extravagant.
Embellish some parts. Yeah.
You probably, because he's that guy. Whatever sells more. He sold the story every time.
I was doing a handstand, and with the other hand, I was painting the horses.
Yeah, something of that nature, because it doesn't really understand to make sense. Especially it's not like the smoothest ride.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
That would be really hard. I mean, obviously he did it. At the end of the day, he did do it. He made these two horses look like each other.
Yeah.
And I mean, the hard part is it's not like you had like a cell phone to take a picture of the other horse. At first, you just stare at the other horse and like, okay, all right. And you got it. And then you're like, oh, what'd the other horse look like? I mean, I'm sure he had a notebook and notes and everything like that. But
he did a little journal. He drew.
He must have.
I think it's funny that he escapes to Cuba to avoid the mob. Doesn't take him long to come back to the States and do the same thing.
I think the timeline was it was a little bit away, and I'm sure he wasn't just in Cuba. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I mean,
he's just relentless with this one.
Oh no, this is something he's going to do for the rest of his life.
Yeah,
this is a guy who's obviously can't be rehabilitated. Like that's that guy. He's just like, oh yeah, I want to do it again. I mean, it's what it is. All right, so let's go on. It
works out. That.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Now, Akhenaten runs in a race, obviously, as Shem. So Shem's on the program. The really good horse runs. So the $300 horse is on the program. The $4,500 horse runs as the $300 horse and goes off at 52-1 and wins by 4 lengths.
Wow.
Why can't I get this information ever? I mean,
this would help me out when I'm capping the cards. Like, come on now. I would not be here though. I would not be doing the show if I'm making those kind of bets.
Like what an insider info that is. Oh my gosh. Like that's once again talking about like, you have this high class, nowadays it'd be like a graded stakes winning horse at 6 furlongs and runs in like $5,000 company.
Yeah.
That no one thinks is going to win because the lines look terrible. Like, my God, 52-1. He must not have, at least he didn't tell too many people. maybe. We'll hear about that. The governor of Maryland actually draped flowers around the fake Shem's neck. So, I mean, this guy he didn't care. Crazy. Now, this should have went well. But there's always this guy. And this guy's name was Nate Raymond. And he was, let's just say he's a big time bettor. We all know the guy at the track. Maybe we don't, because he was actually under suspicion for murder of Arnold Rothstein, a racketeer back in the day. And people say the 10s and 20s that Barrie bought Akhenaten with was probably from this guy and his gang. So this wasn't a good guy, this Nate Raymond, but he was also that guy that had to tell everybody and rub it in everybody's face. So when he won all that money on Shem, what was really Akhenaten, he obviously knew what was going on. He decided to rub it in everybody's face, tell everybody in the grandstand, put it out to the racing stewards, call them out, and the track officials, and just everything like that. So obviously an investigation was going to happen because of this guy. It's always that guy, I'll tell you. Okay, so there was that guy.
It was.
There was that guy.
Good job, Nate.
See, yeah, I mean, but what would the odds have been if it wasn't for dumbass Nate? I mean, seriously. Yeah. I mean, it might have been 100 to 1. What are you doing, Nate? You ruined the odds, number one, probably, and that's fine. I guess you expect that if one guy knew it, but it's always that guy. Always that ruins it.
Everybody else. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, totally ruined it. Why? You got away with it.
Yeah.
Damage is done. You're harming horses. So I do want to say that. It's not a good thing what he was doing. But when you do it, and you're part of it, this is why, this guy was accused of, he might not even have murdered the other person that he was investigated for. He might have told people he did. Yeah. I mean, come on, Nate. Jeez.
Nate. Upset with you, Nate.
Always that guy. But knowing this and knowing the person Peter Barrie is, what does he do? On the run again. That's right. And before that anybody could do anything, he was gone. Him and Akhenaten and Shem. They went to Queens. Then they went to Manhattan. Then to a hideout in Indiana. So they were on tour for a minute. Let's just put it that way. Now, agents of the famous Pinkerton National Detective Agency, they began basically a horse hunt for these horses.
Watch out.
Wasn't the Pinkerton Agency the ones that all did the Wild West? Wasn't that them or something? They were pretty badass, yeah. I think. They were pretty badass. I don't know. But I mean, this is they're extreme. This is calling all cars. Yeah. We have horses on the loose.
Sending out
description doesn't matter
to everybody. Yeah, description. I don't know, brown horse with a white.
Doesn't matter because the horse will be changed.
Blaze. Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's gonna be a horse. And here's the tracks it's gone to. I do like the fact that he paraded around these horses. And I'm like, all right, let's go to the hideout now.
Do you ever think did he ever change his appearance?
He should.
I feel like he didn't.
I don't.
He's that
right.
guy that's
I don't think he did. And he's
still wearing his fur coat.
Of course,
rocking it.
I would still wear the fur coat too.
Rocking it.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, he was owning it.
Yeah.
Let's go on. An agent tracked them down to Indiana at some point, where the horses actually were, but it's Peter Barrie. He slips out just in time because he paid off a watchman to truck the horses to Chicago, then Columbus, then back to the scene of the crime. Because that's what Peter Barrie does. He doesn't care. And why would they be looking for them there? In Maryland. He went back to Maryland. So he's hiding Akhenaten right under the noses of the track officials that first started the investigation.
Haha, take that.
It's almost a good move. I mean, when you think about it, it's always where you least expect the person to be. They always say all those crime scenes, the person's always returns to them, but they know that now. Yeah. They look around the crowd to be who's the guy enjoying this? It's almost well, you did this terrible thing in horse racing. The last place in the world you're going to be is the last place they're going to look.
Yeah.
So you actually went to that place. I mean, there's a genius behind him, or he just really wanted to get caught in a weird way.
I mean, at this point, is he getting
Now,
exhausted?
if he wanted to get caught, he would just stay around. I mean,
yeah, I would just stay at a track, stay in Manhattan or something. Like, I'm here, here's waving the white flag. But no,
you just leave those horses and call it a
You
day.
go. Yeah, you don't take the horses.
No, you give them to a trainer and say, hey, do what you want.
Yeah.
Throw some shampoo on these guys and you're going to see a little different
Surprise.
story. Yeah, and
then he can go back and he can be a priest.
You can't
Done it before.
You can't just be
he can.
No, you can't. You can act like you're a priest. You can't be a priest. You gotta go to that.
Have you discussed it? Really? Because
Peter,
you gotta
go to
Peter did. Peter was a priest.
That's
how we got to the
United
United States.
College thing called? I have to go
Seminary.
Seminary. That's right.
Not if you're Peter. Nope. You don't know who we're dealing with here.
I do. I did the story. Speaking of that, what's going on? Is it genius? Is it crazy? It's a little bit of both, I think. I don't know. So anyway, that's what he did. So in November, Barrie ran Agnaton in Maryland, disguised as another horse he owned named Hickey. He just goes back to the same place and does it again with the same horse. I mean, at least he didn't run the horse under Shem again, because he probably wouldn't have got good odds on him, because Shem looked like a world beater last time, apparently. After this, what happens in January? He runs Agnaton again, disguised under a horse named Galemont in a track in Mexico a few times. So he's just doing this, and this Agnaton probably has no wins under his belt. He's got like 5 wins, but none of them under his name. But then he went to Miami, and this is when, tragically, Agnaton's run, and this crazy run, went to an end, because Agnaton at Hialeah Park broke down on February 23rd. It obviously was a taxing thing for the 4-year-old. Apparently, when he did break down, his dye job, it started to fade a little bit. We all know how that goes. You gotta go back to the hairdresser or something. It was fading, and the track officials were kind of onto, is this it? Is this the horse? So they impounded Agnaton as soon as the race was over. And what does Peter Barrie do? He slips away. He gets away. They're looking for him. But he was, oddly enough, caught in the parking garage. So he didn't get that far this time. And the thing was, what it was, is that they couldn't charge him with anything. In the state of Florida, and most states at this time, there's no law against disguising one horse that looked like another one and entering it in a race. It was oddly legal. I don't really know how, but this is what it was. But they could deport him. Since he entered the U.S. illegally, he wasn't supposed to be there. He came in as a priest, like we talked about before. So they really smart thing that they did was give him a $500 bond. Because, yeah, we know Peter Barrie. He's going to definitely not jump bail.
All right. Well, so he finally gets caught. And the parking garage. Of all the times he's been close call and he ends up states, countries away, he's in the parking garage.
Well, there's a funny story behind that, actually. And it's, of course, only Peter Barrie would say that it was him being a nice guy. What got him caught was apparently he picked up a hitchhiker earlier that week or sometime and brought him to the track. And the hitchhiker was down on his luck, came out of prison or something like that. I don't know exactly what it is. And, he was trying to help this guy out because, Peter Barrie's a good guy.
Oh, really good guy.
Yeah. He's doing the right thing because, he feels bad for this guy that was probably stealing something, and he knows how that is.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Maybe relates. And of
Obviously.
course, how can you trust a criminal who sold him out? Probably for he probably did it for a corned beef sandwich at the track.
Wouldn't blame him for that one.
But yeah, so that's how he got caught, he said. Him being a nice guy. And the guy ratted him out, told him where he was parked or something like that, and they caught him. And even more interesting is Do you think that horse must have been like his best friend? I mean, even though he was like, see ya. I don't know. I did the research when it said the horse broke down. I don't know if the horse was deceased when they impounded the horse, or did they impound him like with a broken leg or something like that. I actually don't know. But he wasn't quick to be like, sorry, bro, I'm out.
I'm out.
Yeah,
That's all you know.
Yeah. So, not a great humanitarian. Obviously, this man.
Well, obviously,
no, it's not a humanitarian. What's an animalitarian?
Animalitarian?
Animalitarian.
Animalitarian. It's a new word right here in the Triple Clowns.
It's a real word.
Okay.
Pretty sure of it. But he wasn't a humanitarian. It's humane.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm kind of liking the animalitarian thing
well,
we
it's
got
a word.
going here.
It's a word.
Okay. But I no. This guy has doped up his horses with opiates, cocaine, heroin. You think he really is caring about the animal at this point?
I mean, I'm more upset about the bad haircut because that, lasts.
That could screw up your day.
Yeah.
And those horses are getting photographed.
No, you're right. He doesn't. But I mean,
good.
you feel like he would have had some sort of bond with this horse.
Yeah, he does. He knew exactly how much cocaine and heroin they can handle. That was his bond.
There's nothing about him coking up this horse.
Okay, this horse may be different.
Well, he does
earned his
He
respect.
did say he does every horse, so he's double the dose on him. Anyway, all right, so that's crazy. So
yeah,
maybe Peter's luck is running out.
I don't know.
Let's hear some.
Okay.
Peter jumped bail, and after that, he doesn't like go in hiding. He actually goes in and keeps ringing horses in Montreal and New York. He told the Daily News he was sailing to Australia, then posing as a posh English horse trainer to integrate himself with society folks at the Masters tournament in Augusta. This guy was living the life right in front of everybody while being a bail jumper, while doing these awful things.
Okay. Peter jumped bail. And after that, he doesn't like go into hiding. He actually goes in and keeps ringing horses in Montreal and New York. He told the Daily News he was sailing to Australia, then posing as a posh English horse trainer to integrate himself with society folks at the Masters tournament in Augusta. This guy was living the life right in front of everybody while being a bail jumper, while doing these awful things. I don't really understand this, but he did it. Who gave him bail? How did this man ever get bail?
He had to go to
flight risk. Oh my gosh!
He had to go to the Masters.
Well, yeah, of course he did. I mean, you had to watch I don't even know, like Ben Hogan or Bobby Jones. I'm probably so wrong on that. I don't know, but somebody a long time ago was playing.
He had priorities. All right.
This guy was the original Frank Abagnale.
He was.
But how does he get bond? Who does that? Like, how does a judge be like, yeah, $500, that's all right, he'll show up in court? What? You're like he showed up that day in handcuffs.
Yeah.
Then he was finally arrested on suspicion of stealing a horse in Saratoga in August of 1934. And while the charges never went anywhere, I don't put it past this guy that he wouldn't steal a horse. I mean, I'll be surprised if he didn't steal a horse. But apparently they got him. The Pinkertons were really all over it. So they got him and they basically walked him on a boat to deport him. Like, that was it. So they literally, I believe, like, escorted him on the boat and just left him there and said, see you later. And he left. And the last we know about Peter Barrie, we heard, was in the 1950s, he was selling a cheap tonic he claimed was a dope-free horse performance enhancer. Well, what's good? Thank you. He went off the cocaine for a little bit. Good for you, Peter, coming up with dope-free horse performance enhancers. Who knows what was in that? But he did that, and I guess the whole sad part about it is he never really got rich. All the people he worked for and did all these things for did. I mean, not that if he got rich, he'd be a better person, but His backers got rich. He never did. You find out he died in 1973 at the age of 85, and he was living in a government-owned housing for single men in London. And that's the Peter Barrie story. I don't think of the whole story. I think the single men in London housing, is that, what is that? What is that?
Like a frat house for the elderly?
I don't know, but I feel like I need the address if it's still around.
See ya.
Well, I'm pretty sure I'm going to end up there if it's real.
You're going to end up there tomorrow.
I'm not elderly. Oh, yeah, close enough. But no, but yeah, and a lot of things I didn't talk about with this was, he did other things too, which I didn't know how to work into the story, but I thought one of the best ones was he run a horse as a gelding. Well, a horse that was a gelding that was, apparently he wanted to disguise a faster horse that wasn't a gelding, which when I first started reading that, I was like, oh no, what did he do now? Like, because you'd think he would just grab a pair of like hedge clippers and that would be it. But he didn't. He would actually put ice on the horse's testicles to make them go up. Every guy knows what that is when they jump in the ocean. And then he run it as a gelding.
Oh, wow.
The balls on this guy. I mean, not to be weirdly ironic, but
yeah. He just didn't care. He had a method for everything. I want to get around this. I'm going to get around it.
I know. I wonder if he ever I would hate if he tried to do that with. But the big thing is too, why didn't he buy horses that actually looked alike? Seems like he went like out of his way to get like what?
Like gray to brown.
Yeah, be like,
why would you just not have like two brown horses? Like, maybe just change the blaze up.
Find a really good horse, and then look around for the cheapest horse that looks like him. It just seems like it'd be easier.
I think it would be a lot easier.
Yeah, he should have thought of that. I feel like he thought of everything else.
Well,
I mean, this trial and error on him must have been ridiculous and terrible for the horses.
That's really sad to think about. Yeah,
terrible for the horses because there's no way this happened.
Everything from dye jobs to finding out what's the best dosage of drugs to.
Oh, he's an awful person. I mean, think about it. Like it must have been like one time he's like, oh, blinded this one. Let's get rid of him. And
put this one down.
Put the ice on his balls too much. I don't know. Like that's just mean in general. Like how did he not get kicked?
I mean, so it took him getting deported. And they made sure this time he wasn't dressed up as a priest jumping on a ship. They like escorted him onto the boat. And then he was done. He got back to England and was like,
I think he was done.
Going to retire from dyeing horses?
Selling snake oil.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I mean, but he wasn't like dyeing horses. He was selling a drug-free, according to him, because you're going to trust him at this point.
Yeah, does his reputation precede him where you buy the tonic from him?
Yeah.
Because in my mind, I'd be like, really, you'd be like, oh, I mean, as a person, you'd be like, I'm not buying anything from this crazy cheat, blah, 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 blah. And then you might be like, this tonic could work. Because if anybody's going to come up with some crazy ass tonic,
it's going to be him.
I mean, granted, it was probably liquid crack.
It probably was.
Yeah, you didn't realize that Peter Barrie actually invented meth later on. It's really, Breaking Bad was really weirdly about him.
Yeah.
Because he became a chemistry teacher and all that shit happened.
That was
Peter Barrie.
Exactly. He was down and out in England. Had no money. Decided to become a chemistry teacher and then got into this meth business. There's Breaking Bad.
That's where they got it from.
Exactly.
But no, he was he was the original Breaking Bad in horse racing. Breaking Bad. But yeah, no, he wasn't a good guy.
No. He died a lonely old man in elderly singles housing in England.
I feel like being in an elderly singles housing in England might not be that lonely. You never know.
You never know.
Could be a party. Yeah. But no, he did, and I just you wonder. And there was a part in that I researched that he had a wife at one point that he basically I think he left when he went to become the priest. He just left her there. I mean, he was probably a lonely guy because you can't travel like that.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, the wife would have been extra baggage. He's like, honey, I have horses I have to take with me. and a fur coat, and you just are not going to make the cut here.
Yeah, he didn't buy her the fur coat.
Oh,
He
no,
bought
of course
himself.
not. No. It's Peter Barrie.
Peter Barrie, the original pimp. Yeah, so that's the story of Peter Christian Barrie.
Ironic last name or middle name.
Christian. Yeah, that's true. But
All right.
Yeah.
That was interesting.
yeah, probably the biggest cheat. I would say I can't think of a bigger cheat. I don't know. I haven't done that much research on it, but that guy seems like he's light years away from like anything goes on. They get in trouble now for like a picogram in somebody's system. He was giving them cocaine, double the dose before they went off. So when you're out there and you're thinking to yourself, like these trainers nowadays, like what a bunch of jerks.
They get away with everything.
Think about Peter Barrie.
Yep.
And then maybe give these guys a little leeway. I don't know. All right, that was our show, and I hope you enjoyed it. More to come with crazy stories, conspiracies, cover-ups, and all those other
We have
good
a lot of good stories coming
nuts
at
horse racing things. All right, for me, G. Randall Johnson, and the beautiful Mrs. Big News, Sarah Marie. See you later, everybody.
Triple Clowns is a production of the team at Big Umbrella. Rate and review our podcast on Apple Podcasts. Send us your questions at tripleclowns@gmail.com and you may be featured on a future episode. Follow us on social media at ClownsTriple on Twitter and Instagram, and follow me, AJ Ryder, at Troy McClain WWE on Twitter. Like and subscribe to our show on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, or wherever fine podcasts are downloaded. All right, guys, for AJ Ryder, I'm out of here. See you later, everybody.